Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian Thomas.
Hi, everybody.
We've got midweek games this week, yay! Which means we won't cover everything. We just kind of go over title race, relegation battle, and I think we're going to look at championship.
Yeah, look at the championship.
See what we could be dealing with next season, which is always exciting.
At this point, we have 9 games left.
It's getting hairy.
9 games left in the season. The title race has really tightened up. Even though, I mean, it looks like if you look at the top 3 with City, Liverpool, and Tottenham, and there's 10 points between first and third place. But it's still a pretty tight race, especially between first and second.
Oh, absolutely.
Liverpool really missed a chance to go top of the league in the Merseyside derby over the weekend, and that was very disappointing. They had their chances. Jordan Pickford did his job.
Yep.
He did what they pay him a boatload of money to do.
He came back, definitely, got rid of his mistakes from the last Merseyside derby and stepped it up for that game. And it got him a point. It got him a much needed point against Liverpool. I think that was their plan along. Obviously they would like to go for the win, but their main goal was to get a point from Liverpool, and prevent their town rivals from going first.
Sure. And if I'm not mistaken, they moved them out of 11th place and into 10th. The biggest thing is with that derby and the simple fact that again Liverpool got another 0-0 draw. The draw, I'm not terribly dissatisfied with it, but at the same time, I'm a little upset because of the fact that Liverpool has dropped 11 points from the last 9 games, and if they're looking for a title win, that's got to change. Understandably, they've had to change the lineup a little bit. The starting 11 has had to be kind of reworked because of injury. I don't think they've had to deal with any suspensions or anything like that. It's mostly just injuries and illness at this point. But it's still, if they're going to make a legitimate title run this late in the season, they're going to have to step it up and start scoring goals, and they're going to start winning matches, especially against teams like Everton. Now last week they absolutely thumped Watford.
Yep.
And I thought for sure that, okay, this is a great thing. We've come off a draw, and then a 5-0 drumming at Watford, or against Watford. And I thought maybe the momentum was back. But then with the Merseyside derby and all the hype around Derby Day, I mean, Merseyside, was it the 238th or something like that?
I mean, it's...
for 150 years, this match has been going on. And I think Liverpool has the upper hand as far as head-to-head. Mm-hmm. This year, I think both of them have been 0-0 draws.
No. Because remember the mistake Jordan Pickford had in the 96th minute?
Oh, yeah, it came off the crossbar.
Divock Origi's 96th minute winner.
Yeah, it came off the crossbar, that's right. But still, a 0-0 draw. I mean, it was Goodison Park, sure, I get it, but it still should have been a win. Mm-hmm.
And it all has to do with their attacking right now. Their defense is standing up exactly the way they should be. Virgil van Dijk is strong. Alisson's strong. I mean, their entire back line is doing exactly what they need to do. They're just not scoring the goals right now. And I think that the biggest problem they have with that is the fact that they're going through injuries in the midfield.
Yeah.
And it's killing them. Bobby Firmino came on late. The Trent Alexander-Arnold's been out with injury. Andy Robertson, I believe, was out with injury as well.
Yeah, but he's back.
He's back.
Both of them are back.
They're both back, and Firmino, like I said, Firmino came on late, but because Firmino's kind of been the center point of their attack. He's been the crucial pivot point between the defense and the offense. Without him on the pitch, it's just not working. So I mean, they're gonna have to figure something out to get to the right place.
And oddly enough, in seasons past, the biggest issue that Liverpool was having was they needed a back line. They had the attack. Mm-hmm. They had the attack. It was there. The midfield was shored up. they needed a defense. They brought in Virgil van Dijk. You know, they've gotten Allison in the goal. Those two players are key right now in the defense, like you said,
and it's working.
Yeah, and it's absolutely working. The difference now is that now we finally got the back line filled out. We don't have anybody going forward anymore. You know, Mo Salah had a phenomenal season last season. He's not having a bad season this year, but he doesn't have that. It's not the cold, ruthless attack.
He's not consistent.
He's not consistent.
As he was last season.
My thing is, I think he's too wide. I think he's just gone too wide instead of staying. He used to stay a little bit narrower and just drop a little deeper. Now he's gone a little bit farther ahead, but he's gone wide, and I think that's kind of taken away a little bit of his attack. And I don't know if that's by design or if it's just something that's just kind of evolved over some training sessions. But I think one thing I have seen him improve upon is the fact that he doesn't seem to get knocked off the ball as easily. In matches past, he'd get the ball and he's so quick and everything, but he would just get knocked off the ball. He didn't have the strength to battle some of these center halves and fullbacks. But I see him doing a little bit better with that now, so that's good. But like I said, if we could just bring him, drop a little bit deeper again and come narrow. Anyway, but a big, huge chance, huge 2 points left on the table for Liverpool. They did not go back top of the table. They're still second, 1 point behind City, but City's still on a roll, man.
Yeah, City are killing it right now. Liverpool, last 9 games, and this is for their title race. This is what they need to really focus on, obviously, is their last 9 games. They're still in Champions League. They had to play Bayern Munich in the middle of the month. Their last 9 Premier League games are Burnley, away at Fulham, Tottenham, away at Southampton, Chelsea, which is a big one, at Cardiff, Huddersfield, at Newcastle, and Wolves.
The Tottenham game is going to be, I think, the bigger of those two. Chelsea's going to be an important match too, but with Tottenham, breathing down their necks. I mean, granted, it's what is it, 9 points. 9 points in 9 matches is definitely doable for Tottenham.
Well, depending on which Tottenham shows up. If it's the last 10 years of Tottenham, it'll be a slump.
Their late season meltdown's a little later than usual this season. Arsenal's the one I'm watching. Arsenal is on a resurgence right now. They really are.
They had a bit of an unlucky game against Tottenham. I think they should have won that game.
I agree.
They had the wrong person take the penalty in the last couple minutes. It should not have been Aubameyang. That was by far the worst penalty I've ever seen in my entire life. Playing soccer, watching soccer, it was by far the worst.
Terrible penalty. I knew where he was going 5 minutes before he kicked it.
Yeah. I could have saved it. My grandmother could have saved that.
I could have saved it.
I mean, it was awful.
I did save it.
Possibly. But yeah, the 2 games that Liverpool really need to focus on, the good thing for them is they're both at Anfield. So they'll be able to focus. They'll have their home fans behind them for those 2 big important games. And they really need to clinch the 3 points in all of the other games that they should win those. So it'll be a good fight for Liverpool at the end of the season. I'm excited to see what happens. So
I see a struggle with Chelsea. I see a similar struggle with Tottenham. I see a possible struggle against Burnley, depending on who shows up. Mm-hmm. The rest of them should be easy 3 points.
Well, Southampton, depending on which Southampton.
Ralph Hasenhüttl's really got Southampton working pretty good too. I apologize for the ding there. But anyway, so yeah, their last several matches, they really gotta come around. I understand. I'd read the articles and I see the commentary and things like that, and it's all Jurgen Klopp staying positive. We're not worried.
Which is
good.
Very important.
I'm okay with that. However, I need to see something different on the pitch now. Mm-hmm. You can talk the talk, but now I got to see everybody walk the walk. I think the team has really bought into what he's trying to do. They just need to go ahead and put all the pieces together now, and they need to focus on it. Champions League, I get, might be a little bit of a distraction coming up in a couple of weeks, but after that, man, it's got to be all Premier League all the time for these boys. Seriously, they've got to go ahead and do it.
City, they've been on the winning streak for quite a while now. the thing is they haven't been winning games as big as they usually do. Usually it's like 5-1, 4-2. They've been, their goal scorers there. Their last 2 wins have been 1-0, and against West Ham and Bournemouth, who are not joke teams. Don't get me wrong. West Ham have been, they have a fantastic season going right now. I think they're really pushing to get as many points as they can. The same with Bournemouth. They've got a fantastic squad who've been performing really well for them this season. But the last 9 games for City are
they've got a Champions League and an FA Cup
and an FA Cup, so they've got a couple more matches than Liverpool do. They also did win the first silverware of the season with the EFL Cup against Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
Which we talked about last time with Kepa, protesting and stuff. That's kind of gone and over now. But City's last 9 games are Watford, at Fulham, Cardiff, at Palace, Tottenham, at United, at Burnley, Leicester, and at Brighton. So the 2 big games for them there are Tottenham and United. And if the right United shows up, that could be a fantastic Manchester derby.
Yeah.
Late in the season, it could honestly decide the title race. Depending on where things are at that point, it could be a deciding match. The season's setting itself up to be a fantastic end. I'm very excited to see what happens there.
Me too. And you brought up, we were talking the other day with the stats that if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had started the season with United, if the season started when Solskjaer took over, the standings of the table it was going to be insane. It was going to be United, then Liverpool. Just the fact that when Solskjaer showed up, United has been a completely different side.
He's got big
Lukaku scoring
4 goals in the last 2 games. That's insanity.
Yeah.
So he's got that entire team on all cylinders with the afterburners on right now. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like they'll be running out of fuel anytime soon. So I'm excited to see how they end up. If they can push for a Champions League spot or a Europa League spot, it's going to be an excellent finish to the season. So, relegation battles, season bottom right now. Yep, that's what I thought. Southampton have pushed themselves out. They are in 17th with 2 points clear. And the current bottom is 18th Cardiff, 19th Fulham, 20th Huddersfield. Huddersfield did get a win this week. Don't think it's going to do anything.
They actually got a win against, was it Wolves? Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to matter.
No.
I think it's too far gone for Huddersfield.
Yeah, with only 9 games left, they've got 14 points on 29 games. They could win the next 9 matches. I don't know. Let me see what their last matches are. But even if they win them all, let's see. They're against Bournemouth, at West Ham, at Palace, Leicester, at Tottenham, Watford, at Liverpool, United, and at Southampton.
Ooh, that's a tough.
It's a pretty tough schedule.
With Tottenham, Liverpool, and United there, especially within 4 games. Those 3 teams.
Yeah,
they're going to be tired pushing themselves if they really want to win those games.
Yeah, but like I said, even if they were to win all 9 of those games, that's 27 points to the 14 they've got. It's not enough. I think the magic number is 42 or 43.
I thought it was 40 or 38. You said something about that last time.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I said last time. Last week, whatever I said was right. So, because I had just read it that day, I'd forget the magic number. But even if they were, they're nowhere near either one. So it's just not enough. Huddersfield, I think we can go ahead and put, we can kind of, that one's done and dusted. We can say goodbye to Huddersfield.
It's unfortunate. They did have a good run. 2 seasons. This is their 2nd season, right?
Yes.
So they'll be pushed down to the championship, but I'm sure they'll fight their way back up eventually. So they've got a new manager. So they should have some new some new invigoration in them. Hopefully we'll see them again soon. Let's see, Fulham. I'm kind of putting them in the same boat. They're only 3 points above Huddersfield right now. It's not enough. They lost to Chelsea this week. Who else did they lose to this week? Their last fixtures. They lost to Southampton and Fulham, and Chelsea. Chelsea was a really hard match, and they actually fought. They were very close as a 2-1 loss, but they haven't gotten wins in the past 5 games. Their last win was at the end of January against Brighton. They won that one 4-2. Their last one before that was at the end of December. So they're literally winning almost a game a month right now, which is nowhere near enough. They need a lot more than that. So
yeah,
they did recently sack Claudio Ranieri. The Chelsea game was their first game under their new manager. Who was their new manager? I forgot his name already.
Who?
Fulham's new manager. They sacked Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah, it was
Scott Parker.
Yeah, he's an interim manager, is what they've named him as.
So hopefully they'll keep him on if they get pushed out of the championship, so that he can help rebuild the squad down there. The championship is for a lot of teams who constantly move back and forth. The championship is a rebuilding phase. It's a place for teams like Fulham to go down, still have some competition, so that they can rebuild their squad to the point where they can push back up and challenge again in the Premier League. So we'll have to see what happens with them. But the last team is Cardiff, and they're doing a little bit better. Cardiff and Southampton are really fighting it out right now for the last spot, with Burnley and Brighton still pretty close. It is currently Brighton at 30, Burnley at 30, Southampton at 27, and Cardiff at 25. So, I mean, there's 5 points there between those 4 teams, with Newcastle at 31. So it's a fight right now. I think if Southampton keep playing well, if Burnley keep playing well, they can really keep themselves up. Cardiff really need to start pushing as well. They're not doing too well. They've lost 3 of the last 5. Yeah, they've lost their last 3.
Yeah, they've had a rough couple of weeks. And the thing is, they're not playing terribly. They're just not able to put it all together at the same time.
And what's really sad for them is they did just lose Sol Bamba for the rest of the season with an injury. So that's a huge key player for them. That without him, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. So hopefully they can fight themselves back up. I believe at the beginning of the season, Neil Warnock he's a coach that has never been able to keep a team up.
Yeah.
So
he's gotten lots of teams promoted. He's just never been able to keep them there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously a good championship manager. He's just not a brilliant Premier League manager. And I'm not slighting him. I'm not knocking him down. It's just the way it is. And again, we talked about this many times too with the money thing. Cardiff is one of those teams that doesn't have a boatload of cash. They just spent a bunch of money on a player they're never going to see. So, I mean, what does that do for them for next season? How all that plays out, who knows? Because the team that Salah was supposed to come from, they're demanding payment. And I don't know how all that works out. We're not going to get into that discussion on whether or not they should be paid or not paid, or or the 2 teams should split the difference. I don't know, because that's a lot of money for a player, and of course now both teams are without the player. Mm-hmm. So. But again, they're just one of those teams that don't have a lot of money to play with in order to get, this super high quality player. And again, I'm not slighting anybody, but when you've got a team like Manchester City, who can spend $100 million on a player, and the starting 11 for Cardiff is like 25 million. something like that, 34 million. I forget what the number was, but when their entire starting 11 is 1/4 of one player from Manchester City, that's a pretty big disparity. You know, and it does settle games a lot. And that's why Manchester City is, you know, perpetually in the top 4, and Cardiff is perpetually fighting promotion and relegation. You know, and speaking of the promotion, I know we said we were going to talk about the, you know, the championship. It looks like they're top 3.
Well, so for those of you who don't know how championship works, their top 2 are automatically promoted. Places 3 through 6 actually go to a playoff, and they have to play extra games to fight themselves into the Premier League.
To that 3rd spot.
Yeah,
that gets promoted.
So right now, it's actually a really close race between all of them.
Norwich and Leeds United right now are number 1 and number 2, 69 points and 67 points, with 35 played. And your 3, 4, 5, and 6 are Sheffield United, West Brom Albion, which was just relegated a year or 2 ago, Middlesbrough again just relegated, and Bristol City. With Norwich, and Norwich was just relegated probably 3 or 4 seasons ago. It's been a while since Leeds has been in.
And Derby County's knocking on the doorsteps to getting that promotion
into the playoff.
Yeah,
they're tied on points with Bristol City. It's goal differential right now, which is +8 and +2. So it's a 6-goal difference right now for them. This is when things really get exciting, you know, and everybody talks about, it's so boring and this and that. We know who's going to win. No, first off, no, we don't know who's going to win. We've got some really good guesses as to who might win. No one knows who's going to win. Right now, you know, City's in first place, but Liverpool is right there, and they've got the ability, they've got the talent. And do not count out Tottenham. Don't count out Manchester United. They're rolling forward.
They're steamrolling through places right now.
And with 9 games left, a lot can happen. I mean, that's a lot of points with 9 games. That's 27 plus or minus for somebody. You know, somewhere in that gap. The real fun is when you start getting into the relegation battles. That's when the like these last 3, you know, with Huddersfield and whatnot, start really getting gritty.
They get scrappy.
Yeah,
they know how much it's worth. So
it's very lucrative for them to stay in the Premier League. They get bonuses, you know, based on if they're in the Premier League or not. You know, and the club does. The club gets money from the league. So that can mean, you know, listen, we got this extra Premier League money, we can go buy, you know, so-and-so, and it might help us stay up, you know. So it gets really scrappy, it gets really fun to watch. And the fact is that after every single week, the table's different.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's been a really tough fight for everybody, even the middle table. The middle of the table, you know, those 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 place teams, that has gone through a lot of flux too.
Well, Bournemouth, since the beginning of the season, they were at like 6th, 3rd, and 12th now. I mean, they've been through all of those places, up and down several times.
Yeah.
This has been a very exciting season, because there are teams who are performing really well, like West Ham, Bournemouth, Wolves, who, like I said, are performing well. They're not always getting the win. Sometimes they're getting a draw when they really should get a win. But it's fun seeing them play. It's fun seeing, okay, you know, there are these new players that are coming up almost out of nowhere, like David Brooks for Bournemouth, who just signed a long-term deal with Bournemouth, basically committing his future with the team. And you know, it's going to be very exciting for them to see how he's utilized with Eddie Howe, see how they can maybe push for a Europa League spot next season. Maybe push for a Champions League spot next season. Maybe in a couple years fight for a title. So it's very exciting to see teams like this doing so well, so that we can kind of get hints of what it's going to be like in the next couple years. And it makes me personally more excited for what's to come, because I know how exciting it's going to be. So
yeah, and you know, watching these mid-table, like you were saying, you know, to put in there with Brooks, you know, I'm going to put Harvey Barnes from Leicester City in there. You know, he's been really exciting, and I think now with they've got a new manager who's a pretty attack-minded guy, Brendan Rodgers. and the fact that Harvey knows how to get forward. I mean, he just absolutely raids down the left side over and over and over. And he's very impressive. I don't know how old he is. I mean, he can't be too old. He's probably in his late teens, early 20s. Like, I'm thinking like 21, something like that. But anyway, to watch these young players, and then when they come up from the championship, this is a big step for a lot of these guys. It's really the big jump start to their career that they're looking for. So when they're in the championship, they're really fighting to get up there. And then once they get into the Premier League, they really fight to stay there, because that's when your name is in lights, man. That's when you get the call-ups from your national squad managers.
Especially because there's Euros coming up soon,
Euros is coming up, yep.
Ooh, yeah, that's fun.
That's definitely going to be fun.
So 2020?
It is next year.
We've got Women's World Cup coming. That's different.
But that's exciting.
Olympics are coming. So these, am I right about that? Yeah, it was 2016. So 2020 with those as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, these national team coaches are looking. I mean, they're already starting to scout. I believe we saw Antonio Conte in the stands earlier. I think
watching the Leicester game.
He's been recently linked with the Italian national team squad, so it's exciting. It's going to start heating up here in the next season, and there's a lot to go over, especially with international squads. But I mean, these young players. Harvey Barnes, by the way, is 21.
Yeah, so I knew it was something like that, but.
It's exciting. I'm excited for the next couple seasons. Soccer is
life.
It is. I really hope that it starts kind of stretching out into the U.S. a little bit more. MLS started back up.
Yep.
First week of that was the last couple days. Already seen some amazing goals from some young guys. Some amazing saves from some new keepers. The new team with FC Cincinnati. Soccer's growing.
Can you spell Cincinnati?
There was a video about that. That was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah, but soccer's growing. The trains are moving. Hop on board. If you're not already, it's a one hell of a ride.
Chances are, if you're watching this show, then
probably
you're on board. But spread the word. Get out there and play, man. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your skill level. I mean, I'm old, fat, and slow, and I still play, twice a week. So get out and do it. It's good for you. It's good for the soul too. But anyway, it's a great game. I love it. Thomas loves it. We love it. We want to share it with you guys. So that's Inside the Six, man. I don't have much else than that.
That's all I got.
Very cool. We'll wind it down. Special thanks to Thomas. He does all the production and editing and everything.
Sorry about last week. I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened, but I fixed it.
Hopefully fixed
I think.
it. But yeah, we just had it was the first week back after a short hiatus. I guess just all the gremlins just decided to camp out, but so hopefully we got that fixed. But thanks to Thomas for handling all that stuff. I just sit here and talk. I literally just walk into the studio 5 minutes before we start filming, and that's that. And then as soon as we turn it off, I'll get up and walk away. Very special thanks to our friend Macrophonic MC, who lets us use his music for the intro and the outro. We really appreciate you letting us do that. He's a super cool guy. He's a very talented artist. The links are there. Check out his music. Check out the t-shirt shop where you can get one of these cool sweatshirts. You can get t-shirts. You can get sweatshirts. You can get the dry fit shirts. Get phone cases, aprons, coffee mugs. Anyway, check it all out. And see what you can do there. Make great gifts too, by the way. Valentine's Day is over, but give somebody an Easter basket with Inside the Six on it. I think that's that, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get the notifications, and we'll see you in a week for Inside the Six.
Thanks, guys.
Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.